I guess we can go ahead and get started here. Today, we're going to have a conversation with Andy Cruz, a 30-year veteran of technology and currently part of Dell's customer-centric cloud and container team. Andy is joined by Insight Solution Architect Sam Johnson, who holds a certification in Red Hat OpenShift administration, as they look to discuss their perspectives on the best approaches to accelerating application modernization. Whether you're already familiar with Insight or not, just want to showcase this timeline of how Insight has evolved as a company, both organically and through acquisitions, going from a more typical reseller in many years past to being more focused on services and solutions today. We expanded into the DevOps and cloud space with our acquisition of Blue Metal and Cardinal a few years back, and that's where a lot of our talent around OpenShift resides today. In addition, we beefed up our data center infrastructure capabilities. We acquired DataLink in 2017, which is where a lot of the automation capabilities reside today. Insight's most recent acquisitions included SATA and InfoCenter, bringing best-of-class capabilities around Google Cloud and ServiceNow, respectively. When we look at how Insight works with solutions such as OpenShift and Dell Apex, I wanted to quickly touch on why Insight should be considered your go-to partner for both Red Hat and Dell technologies. We support both those businesses today with a couple of dozen pre- and post-sales engineers across a number of technical teams. Insight has over 300 of the highest available credentials and certification amongst Dell partners. Dell is also the top vendor at Insight in both the server compute and storage categories. This business is supported with over 70 Insight teammates dedicated to the Dell solution portfolio. Insight has the ability and experience to support our clients with their Red Hat and Dell solutions, both on-prem and in the cloud. And so it's notable that we maintain great relationships with the major hyperscalers, Microsoft Azure, AWS, and GCP. So you can be comfortable and confident that we can help you with your hardware and software infrastructure needs all throughout your journey from on-prem through cloud. All right, with that, let me pass it over to Andy and Sam. Gentlemen, take it away.
Take it away, Andy.
Oh, hey. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Dell is proud to be a part of this session with Insight. We were partnered very heavily, and we're very excited about that. And we're excited about what we're going to talk about. But before we get into that, let me at least introduce myself so you know who you're dealing with. My name is Andy Cruz. I am a cloud specialist on a team at Dell called the Customer-Centric Cloud and Container Team, or C4, as many of us call it. And my specialty within that team is open source and containerization technology, specifically in the Red Hat world. Sam, how about you, buddy?
Hi, Sam Johnson. I'm a senior field architect here at Insight, mostly focused on cloud and data center technologies. Andy, it's great to have a chance to talk to you today.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that, we kind of were spitballing a little bit, and I think it's probably worthy of some conversation, is around, let's address what OpenShift is, because that's kind of foundational to any of the ways that we might choose to implement. And I think that it's gotten a kind of a reputation for being a container only platform. Sam, can you maybe pull some mythbusters on that and get us to the point where we have a level set around what OpenShift is, period?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that. And you're right. I mean, I know whenever I first started hearing about OpenShift in the market and clients were asking about it, my initial thoughts were, this is just for containers. Even at times, this is just for Linux containers. And clearly, it has continued to evolve and sort of started out as being more than that. So today we can run KVM virtual machines, Windows or Linux, on OpenShift. You can add the AI operator and run artificial intelligence workloads, and we even have with Knative the opportunity to do some serverless work as well.
That is really cool. And I think what I've kind of come to understand about OpenShift as I've learned about the broadening capabilities of it is that it really is a platform for the modern data center that can encompass many of the various different things. Now, you touched on a couple of points that really intrigued me, specifically around virtual machines as well as artificial intelligence. So one of the things that I find very unique in the climate that we're in right now is that there has been somewhat of an inflection point in the virtualization market, and that's causing clients to reevaluate their hypervisor strategies. While AI is still coming, people need to deal with what's in front of them right now in terms of, the future of their hypervisor, right? And so knowing that you have an AI ready platform that, you can start with just virtual machine workloads and then layer on that AI capability later as it becomes more and more important, I feel like is a really pretty good, a safe play in terms of operations. Sam, what do you think about that?
I think that's true. I think it's also a great opportunity for clients that are looking to modernize and move away from being so VM centric, so server centric, and into that containerization strategy, right? Repackaging your applications so they're easier to deploy, whether that's on-prem or in the cloud, or moving them back and forth, right? The true hybrid cloud journey that almost everyone is on these days. And so you've got with OpenShift this almost truly agnostic platform where I can deploy an application as a VM, as a set of VMs. And as I work through the process of re-architecting that and reallocating that into containers, it's going to live in the same spot. It has access to the same data services. It has access to the same lifecycle services. So it's not as much of an uplift for my platform management teams, for my application management teams, because they're using the same tool, whether it's running in VMs or it's running in containers. So we're future-proofing from that aspect as well.
Fantastic. All great points. Let's move on and talk about how Dell is delivering OpenShift within our portfolio. So within the Dell portfolio, we have a lot of different ways that we can deliver OpenShift. We can do it, from a custom perspective using things like PowerEdge servers and, the broad spectrum of storage that we have within the Dell portfolio. We can do, any of those things, right? We also have reference designs that leverage PowerFlex as well as PowerEdge for OpenShift. That's kind of like a recipe, right? So we show you what we have tested internally to kind of give you an idea of directionally how to go. And then we have the Apex Cloud platform for Red Hat OpenShift, which is our premier solution that delivers an appliance-like model for OpenShift. And this is becoming really important for a lot of clients, especially if you think of it in the context of virtualization. If they have not had experience with OpenShift, if they're purely looking for a hypervisor alternative, then the OpenShift piece is going to be a learning curve, and we at Dell are trying to take some of that risk out of, or in fact, a lot of that risk out of the equation, because we have this cloud platform for OpenShift, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So one of the things that I think is really important to recognize about the entirety of the ecosystem, and this is as much an Apex Cloud platform for OpenShift as it is for the entirety of OpenShift across the board. And I have this tagline, and it's really goofy, but people have adopted it, is OpenShift. It doesn't matter where it lives. It's the same thing. And so we give the capability to create that true multi-cloud experience by having, OpenShift on-prem with extensibility into public cloud providers that are also running OpenShift. And so, we can do deeper dives on exactly how that works, because I don't want to burn all of our time here today on it. But, with what we're doing from an application perspective, what we're doing from actually some of our storage platforms that can run in public cloud, we're able to create a consistent experience across clouds, whether they be in your data center or whether they be in public cloud resources. So one thing I want to point out is that this isn't really a new offering, even though it's a new assembly of various offerings, but all of the pieces of it, all this common building block approach that we have taken to this are leveraging technology that has already been proven down in industry. So for example, the Dell Enterprise Storage ecosystem, that's not new. We're just taking advantage of that. We are bringing that into the fold. Next generation PowerEdge. when I was a Dell customer many, many years ago, I was working with second generation PowerEdge servers. They were still white. It was before we started making servers either black or silver. I mean, it's a long time ago. Um, and then the Apex Cloud Platform Foundation software is actually leveraging some of the Dell intellectual property that we use for other appliance platforms that also are proven down in industry. So the important part of this is to note that, while the amalgamation of these resources is something that is new, the underpinnings of it are not. It's all proven. So a couple of different things that this helps with. The full stack lifecycle management I find to be extraordinarily important, because that's really where you can get yourself into trouble from an OpenShift standpoint. And Sam, back me up on this one if you want.
From any standpoint, even not just OpenShift, but especially whenever you're looking at something as complicated as a fully clustered container solution, yes, it makes it even more important that from top to bottom, everything is certified and validated to run together and continually checked.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're doing. So security management, day one deployment, day two, lifecycle updates and things like that. And that's for the hardware and the software. We deliver that all as one package. So it becomes really good because you go from one continuously validated state to another. And that becomes really important. And that's all done by way of the Apex Cloud Platform Foundation software. The other thing that I would call out, and maybe you want to speak to this, Sam. I don't know if you do or not, but we expose RESTful APIs to set you up to be able to leverage infrastructure as code.
So it's a fully extensible platform from that perspective.
Exactly.
Right? It can fit into any of your current management systems or any new management systems you have in the future. If you wanted to integrate this with your ITSM system, for instance, for deploying new nodes or adding new networks or staging firmware upgrades, you could do that via that mechanism.
And the one thing I would say about that too, kind of being a cohesive team here, that's an area where I feel like Insight could add a lot of value. Is creating that loosely coupled architecture.
Yeah, really tapping into the plugins available there, taking this into a fully managed state. Because Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Apex Cloud Platform is not, or is not required to be at least, a fully managed service.
Ooh, that is a great call out. So we changed a little bit of the branding. So originally we were, when we said Apex, it meant OpEx, and that's what that meant. Okay. We have now adopted Apex as our multi-cloud offering branding. So by default, this is a CapEx purchase. We can make it OpEx. And just like to your question, it is not a managed service by default. We can make it a managed service. And again, I think that's an area where, Dell can certainly do it, but I think that Insight could also help as well.
Okay. That's great to know.
Yeah, good call.
So kind of like we were talking about earlier, Andy, this offers the opportunity for clients to start their containerization journey in a way that they get to move slower or faster, depending on what they're ready for. But the platform itself is there to support them throughout that entire life cycle. So they can start just by migrating VMs over from whichever virtualization platform they're on today. They can start by re-architecting those applications to be container native and deploying the container workloads, or they can go with a hybrid approach, which is what I think we're going to see most of our clients do, moving most of those VMs, starting that re-architecture, starting that application development lifecycle into the container strategy, and getting it all to live in the same place. And OpenShift provides that in a nice little package, and the Apex Cloud Platform makes sure that things stay up to date, stay cohesive, and stay up and running.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. That was wonderful. Thank you. There are a couple of key call outs that I want to make that I think are hugely important. When it comes to OpenShift virtualization, and we know that virtualization is on everybody's mind right now, it's built on an open source project called KubeVirt. And right now, KubeVirt is one of the top 10 CNCF or Cloud Native Compute Foundation active projects. And so what that means is while KubeVirt is kind of, a newcomer to, well, not very new to the game, but in context, it's a little new to the game. The development efforts that are going towards this are going to have a velocity of innovation that is going to outpace anybody that's using closed source software. And so, because that's the upstream project that is leveraged by OpenShift virtualization, the innovation is going to flow in very, very quickly. The other thing that one of the other things that I wanted to call out is that within OpenShift virtualization, it supports Windows guests. And I think you mentioned this earlier, Sam, about, everybody thinks it's just Linux, but no, it's not. They actually support Windows guests. So even if you're an all Windows shop, you can still run OpenShift virtualization and run your VMs there.
Exactly.
The final thing that I want to call out, and then I'm going to hand it to you, Sam, for anything that you want to mention, is that OpenShift virtualization includes unlimited RHEL guest entitlements. So, for example, I sold an OpenShift or an Apex Cloud platform for OpenShift to a client. 50% of their virtual machines were RHEL, and they were paying subscriptions on all of those. So the subscription cost of all the RHEL nearly offset the cost of everything else they were doing just by being able to put them into OpenShift virtualization. So that's something that, in my mind, it's one of those things that I always like to ask about. It's like, hey, what's the VM makeup? Because you could have a really good story to tell when it comes to, if they say, yeah, we're all RHEL. Bing. All right, Sam, what do you think?
That's a very good call out here. Andy, I did want to highlight, kind of to your point earlier about the Apex Cloud platform being built on, Dell's legacy of proven technology. Even though the name is new, the stack has been vetted out. The virtualization that we're talking about here with OpenShift is the same. It's all built on KVM, right? KubeVirt has these developer resources because it is one of these top 10 projects. But again, it's built on that legacy of KVM being a proven technology stack. So this isn't something new. This isn't something scary. This isn't the V1 or the beta release of a project, right? This is a fully baked virtualization stack.
Yeah, it's just a different way of running KVM.
Yeah. This is perfect, Andy. I remember sitting through a demo of this several weeks ago, looking at the migration toolkit. And if there's anything that makes my clients a little nervous about adopting something that is, even again, if it's vetted and proven, to them it's new, it's how do I get there? How do I get my systems from what I'm used to running onto this new platform and do it in a way that is reasonably quick, that is safe, that is effective, and I can do it in a strategic manner. I can plan it out. I can move at my own pace. And so Red Hat has built this great migration toolkit that makes that a really simple process to move into OpenShift virtualization.
Yeah, what I find most interesting about this is like you literally just register a vCenter in this tool, and this is included. This isn't an add-on fee or anything like that. Nor is OpenShift virtualization. It's just a part of OpenShift. You register a virtual center, and it's going to give you a list of all the VMs, and you'll be able to pick and choose. You'll create your migration plans for those various different VMs, and then you can execute those. Now, the cool thing is, it's effectively a copy/conversion, and they use change block tracking to make sure that we're able to do a very quick warm migration. But if something doesn't work, nothing was changed on the original VM. So it's extremely low risk. Now, the other thing that I would say in a more broad context is this tool in particular is also extensible through APIs. So you could potentially utilize something like Ansible or things like that. Let's say you've got 25,000 virtual machines. You're not going to go in and do that manually. At least I hope you're not.
Right. That'd be a lot of clicking.
Yeah. You're going to have you're going to go through 3 or 4 mice before you're done with those migrations. But the point being is you can automate these migration plans as well. So, don't think that this is kind of a small tool for smaller environments. It is standalone, but you can add the automation toolkit, or excuse me, the automation tools to it, and really get some, some horsepower out of this thing. So one of the interesting things as well to consider is this is actually integrated into the OpenShift console. So they will introduce a virtualization tab when you load the operator into OpenShift for virtualization. And that's where this migration toolkit comes in. The other thing that I would say is all of that Apex Cloud Platform Foundation software that we talked about and all of the lifecycle management and maintenance also integrates into the OpenShift console. So very much like what you saw within tools like, Windows Admin Center and things like that on the Microsoft side, you're going to see here, both with Dell as well as additional operator integrations from Red Hat.
So that's not a separate GUI that I have to log into to manage the Apex Cloud Platform. It's within the OpenShift console here.
That's correct. Yeah, both
Okay.
virtualization as well as the Apex Cloud Platform. And that's where you'll perform your updates, your lifecycle management. You'll get hardware health. Effectively, what we do is pull all of the telemetry from the iDRACs and, the system onboard, health monitoring and bring it in. And then we also, we have a bunch of different tabs where you can, set security settings and, phone home and if you choose, as well as perform your updates either online or offline.
So it really is that single screen management portal because you're plugging directly into OpenShift.
It's about as close as you're going to get with any tool. I personally am of the opinion that there's no such thing as a single pane of glass. We've been saying it in IT for years, and I think it's a myth, but this is probably about as close as you're going to get. Yeah.
We can all dream, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Andy, this was great. For any clients that are watching, please reach out to us. We are more than happy to assist. We love working with Dell. We love working with Red Hat and helping you on the next step of your virtualization journey and embracing OpenShift, taking that next step of modernizing your applications. We stand ready to do that. We have a number of workshops both for assessing your virtualization footprint and helping with that application modernization journey. So just reach out to us. There's an email popped up on the screen now. We'd be happy to assist. Thanks, and you have a great day.